Episode 133, The State of This Marriage. Welcome back to One Extraordinary Marriage, where we talk about life, love, and the pursuit of intimacy. You're here with Alisa DiLorenzo.
And Tony DiLorenzo.
And happy Labor Day week.
And?
Weekend. Yes, weekend. Week.
We're doing on the weekend.
We are doing on the weekend.
Hopefully all of you are having a fantastic weekend. We posted up a question over there on Facebook, and it seems like many of you are getting some alone time, which is way cool. Mm-hmm. Alisa and I were able to steal away a couple of hours on Friday night for a date night, and we did our favorite thing, which is sushi.
No, our favorite thing is actually just getting out.
And having sex.
Well, not necessarily at the same time, but...
if we can get out and have sex in the back of the van, it's a win-win-win.
That didn't happen, though, on Friday night.
It didn't. The last time we did that, we were at Torrey Pines Beach, which is where we were today with the kids and the family, and I'm going to bring that up because we had a really cool, fun time there. But we were on PCH, and there's a real quick cutoff, a parking area right overlooking Torrey Pines Beach. Mm-hmm. And Alisa and I made use of our limo tinted van. The only bad part, and I know Alisa, is as we were about to get going, a car pulls in with some kids, and they're like clamoring, and they left their lights on. So it was a little funky. No,
I was just going to say that was my night where I took the lead and surprised you, because I was like, we were walking around, where were we, Encinitas? Where were we earlier for dinner that night?
Encinitas. We went to Barracuda.
Oh, yeah, that was a good place.
Very good place.
And I had a jacket on, and I'm like, hey, dude, put your hand in my pocket. What an invitation. And inside the pocket was the emergency kit. And
right. That was a coat pocket, not her pant pocket.
Yes. Sorry. Thank you for the clarification. It would not fit in my pants pocket.
Exactly.
But, again, take the lead. This was a couple months ago, but it was one of those things where it was like, okay, I know it's my Friday night. I know we're going to be out. It may not happen, but if we can make it work,
we'll make it work.
Or make it work.
And we did. That was fun. So here's the fun thing that happened today. So Sunday of Labor Day weekend, and did our things. It's hot here in San Diego where we live. So my goal was to get us out and get to the beach, even on this weekend, which is the last weekend of summer. It's usually packed. Well, we end up getting down to Torrey Pines State Beach, which is a beach that we used to go to when the kids were younger, and haven't gone back since. I took Abby there a couple of weeks ago, just Abby and I, and it was high tide. And it was super high when we walked down, Abby and I, at this point in time. It was right at the rocks. So, and this is a huge beach.
So right by the walkway, for people that don't know what right by the rocks mean.
Right by the walkway. And so Abby and I were only going to spend 20, 30 minutes there, so it was fine. But today we got there, and it was like a super low tide. As we were showing up, it was going into low tide, which was just awesome to experience because there was just so much beach. Mm-hmm. And even though there was a ton of people there, we had plenty of space. Well, as a proud dad, the kids brought their boogie boards. And what's sort of cool about this area, there is a waterway in the middle. Would you call that a waterway?
Yeah, I'm sure there's an actual technical term for it, but it's like a little inlet.
Yeah, that goes into this sanctuary, beautiful area. Well, that gets all filled up during high tide, and it comes out, obviously, during low tide. And it sort of separates the north side and the south side of Torrey Pines State Beach. And we're on the north side. But as that water's coming out, it's just really cool because it's a fast current that just goes right into the ocean. And so it's
shallow.
And it's shallow, so it's really fun for the kids. Well, our kids brought their boogie boards. And Alex, who is getting older, was using his in that area, and so was Abby, and they're having a good time. Well, as Alex is starting to go out a little bit more into the ocean, he finally goes, "Hey, Dad, I want to try to boogie board." And I've tried this before with him, and it's very frustrating as a dad because I want him to get it, but at the same time, there's so many things that are going on. He needs to be on the boogie board, and he has to be situated properly. And, once he's there, he just has to even catch the wave. And what's this have to do with marriage? Well, in marriage, there are times, right, when there's a lot of different things that are going on in our lives and in our marriage. And each part of it has to flow so that it all works out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of us think that, oh, you know, this needs to happen right now. But we forget that there's two other things that we should have done or need to be done to get to the end point. Right? So let's get back to my story with Alex here. So we're out there in the waves, and the waves are crashing. He's not kidding, like these bigger things. I mean, the wave is crashing, and then it's sort of like the foam. Even before the foam, you can get into it, and then you can catch it. And even at that point in time, you can get 60. I mean, you get 60 feet of riding. I mean, it's still exhilarating. And so he's out there, and he's trying, and he's getting pounded a little bit, and I'm there just watching him. And hey, you know, there's something coming. Well, finally, he gets it. You know what I mean? He's on his board. He's positioned right. He's balanced. The wave catches him, and he's just going. And I'm just there running beside him. Just go, Alex. Go, go, go. And I mean, he rides this thing all the way to the beach. And the exhilaration, the excitement, and the high fives. And again, when I relate this to marriage, you know, when we're on that path, when we're on that wave, and everything comes together, it's at those moments that we need to remember to high five each other at the end. To go, you know what? That was awesome. That was exhilarating what we just were able to do. I don't think we do that enough in our marriages. I don't think we celebrate enough those high points, those triumphs we make. We're so quick to just move on to the next thing. You know, when you're disciplining a child, and it's hard and it's tough, and you and your spouse know that friction that's happening between you two, and yet there comes a point in time when you both go, okay, wait a minute, we need to do this and this and this, and it works. It's at those points in time that you need to be looking at each other and going, right on, we got it. And yes, there's some frustration. Hey, I had frustrations with Alex when I was out there, you know, but those are quickly vanished, quickly gone as I'm running alongside him and just cheering him on. And so he got me so excited that Abby allowed me to use her boogie board for a little bit, and he and I together were boogie boarding. And for the first time in my adult life that I can remember, for years and years and years, I mean, I was in the water with the boogie board, and I even caught a couple of waves myself. In the exhilaration of doing that, and just my heart beating and being so excited, that's the way I need to be celebrating my marriage. To this beautiful woman who sits across from me, who deals with me, who deals with my ups and my downs and my tiffs and my little body language that doesn't say what it should be saying, you know, but I need to remember to celebrate her.
I thought you were going to tell me I actually got in the water today.
And oh my gosh, yes.
Without even being asked.
Without even being asked. Alisa looked absolutely gorgeous out there. She wore this beautiful bathing suit. I just love that she wears. And I mean, just looked fantastic. And she was out there in the water. You know, the nice thing is that little inlet area I was telling you about earlier, that's warmer water, and it's actually really nice. Mm-hmm. Once you get into the open ocean, it's sort of chilly, and you got to make that transition. But that inlet area was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, and, you know, I played with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was there in the sand with Abby. As much as I like the idea of the beach, the whole sand everywhere, cold water, those like island tropical beaches, love them.
Puerto Rico. Need to go back.
Mom and Dad, if you're listening, make that move happen.
Yes. Please.
But, you know, San Diego Beach with cold water, not so much. Yeah. Not so much. But
gorgeous.
I got in the water.
Yeah. Gorgeous day.
I do have to share the funny thing about the bathing suit. So, yeah, I specifically brought the bathing suit that Tony likes. We were out for a few hours before we actually made it to the beach. And so we weren't wearing our bathing suits there. We changed in the car, and I didn't think anything of it. I put on my bathing suit bottoms because I have a bikini.
Tent, they help.
Limo tent, you know, whatever. I'm making it happen. And so we get down to the beach and I take my cover up off. I'm like, gosh, my bathing suit feels different this time. I didn't think anything of it. I mean, I kind of like, it just felt a little off.
The bottoms
did. The bottoms did. Yeah, the top I would have known if the top was off. That would have been a whole different, funny, One Extraordinary Marriage story. But like, I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, gosh, I wonder why my bathing suit's fitting differently. Well, we come home and I go to the bathroom and I realized that because I wasn't paying attention, again, when you aren't paying attention in your marriages, what happens? When you aren't paying attention putting on your bathing suit bottoms, sometimes you put them on backwards.
Right.
And so the entire time we were at the beach, I mean, thank goodness I still had coverage on the back of my, I had some coverage, just not as much as I normally do because I was wearing my bathing suit bottoms backwards for 2.5 hours at the beach.
I thought you looked fantastic.
Well,
I kept looking over going, dang, my wife's hot.
I do have to say it's a really good thing I've been doing Les Mills Pump.
Amen to that.
Because where I was a few months ago, I would have been even more mortified that I'd worn my bathing suit backwards. But all that's to say is that sometimes we just don't pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be a really embarrassing situation. I was just like, oh, well, Tony was telling me the other day, he's like, you could use a little more sun back there. Apparently I got it today, just not paying attention to putting on my bathing suit. But,
right.
Funny things that have gone on this week. But we're just working on, one of the things that we want to share with all of you is, what's going on with One Extraordinary Marriage. And so that's why we titled this week's episode, The State of This Marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Not specifically our marriage. We're doing good. Don't worry that this is going to be some big revelation that things are not good between Alisa and Tony, because it's not. Things are good. We're super excited about all that we've got going on, but we feel like we've kind of given you guys bits and pieces over the last few weeks and haven't really just laid it out, what you're a part of, what this movement is doing, where we're going. And very much like we encourage you guys to sit down and just to have those talks sometimes to say, where are we going in your own marriages? Where are we headed? What are we working towards? That's what we want to sit down tonight and share with all of you. We've received some really great emails and messages over the last couple of weeks that we want to share and just fill you in. You're such a big part of what's going on and why things are exploding.
You are the reason why.
That, we need to clue you in. So where do you want to start?
You know what? I want to start with something that we talk about a lot when it comes to our marriages. We need to be able to speak what's happening, and we need to get it in the light so God can be right there and Jesus can be right there beside us, right? Because when we hide stuff, it's in the dark and the devil wins out.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the reason I really wanted to come out and share everything that's happening behind the scenes, because I sense the devil working big time on One Extraordinary Marriage. Big time on trying to deviate us from what we're doing and hitting us with emails and messages that are just, they're not productive. And those messages can really take either of us or one of us into a tailspin sometimes. And so, and this happened even just last week a couple of times where I was reading some messages just going, what? I don't understand why this is all of a sudden hitting, one after another. And I just realized that, what? It's because we share sort of bits and pieces with you guys. And you guys are why One Extraordinary Marriage is growing and why we're having the reach that we have. And we need to shed the light on this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that Jesus is right there and his light is shining bright, and the devil, we can just go, dude, get away. We know what you want to do. We know you want to break down marriages. We know you want to destroy families. But we're not going to stop. Because if we stop, then the love of Jesus isn't being poured into thousands and thousands of marriages and thousands of people's lives each and every day.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's that. So where do we start? I think the big one is Alisa and I finally got off our butts and we're going to put on a live event. That's the truth of it. It's taken us time to figure this out, and we're doing it though. We're putting on a live event. He Zigs, she Zags, put communication on the same path. Right here in San Diego, October 13th. And you can get all the information you want at oneextraordinarymarriage.com/live events. It's going to be awesome. It really is. We're excited. And here's the thing. If you know people who are here in the San Diego area, pass it along to them.
Mm-hmm.
If you know a pastor, if you know somebody who can put it up on an event board, please pass it on to them. And let us know as well if you can. So that way we can reach out to them and say, hey, is there anything we can do? Is there any information you need? This is our first one, and we have more in store. Our goal is to have 3 solid ones. These are about 2.5 hour sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one here is on communication. The next one we want to talk about sex. I know.
Sex. Can you imagine the DeLorenzo was talking about sex?
But we want to dig into that topic. And the third one that we're looking at is talking about quality time. Dates together. What can you do? How do you guys get closer together with the time you have?
Mm-hmm.
Because we all know there's a lot going on. And if we can find and help you find 15 minutes a day where you are super engaged with each other, that alone will make a huge impact in your marriage. So those are our live events.
Mm-hmm.
And we're excited. Lisa and I are working hard on that. We believe that this doesn't need to be boring. This isn't about, hey, coming and hearing 2 folks just drone on for 2.5 hours. No.
Let's put it this way, folks. We're creating the events that we want to go to because we've sat through those where I have to nudge Tony to keep him awake.
Yes.
So we're very conscious of just having fun. I mean, we're going to tackle serious topics in our events, but that doesn't mean that we can't have fun with it, that we can't bring some levity to it, that we can't entertain you. I mean, we talk about entertaining you and educating you all at the same time because let's face it, if we're being entertained, everything that we're learning just seems to sink in a little bit easier.
Right. And
so that's where we're going to go with this. And again, Tony said it and I'm going to reiterate it. If you know people in San Diego, please let them know about this. If you know people in San Diego that I can talk to about promoting please let me know. Put comments below, message me directly at askalisa@oneextraordinarymarriage.com. Help us get this word out. And people from Orange County, people from LA, if they want to drive down, we'd love to see them.
That's right.
It's totally doable. It doesn't have to just be here in San Diego.
Riverside County,
Southern California. Let's just, we'll throw it out to Southern California and see what happens. But
think of it this way. Come on down. You get to spend 2.5 hours with us, get energized, learn how to communicate effectively so that you can have the good communication that you so desire. And then when we're done, because it's going to finish up around noon, go hang out at one of the beach towns here in San Diego.
Make it a whole date day.
Yeah, go grab a bite to eat and put to practice what we're going to share.
Mm-hmm.
So that's number 1. Number 2, I've been feeling, I think Alisa has too, is that we've done a disservice to you guys over the last 1.5 years or so. And you may be going, what? What are you talking about? Well, whenever we get these big questions and, we try to do the best we can. We'll answer emails. The problem is that many of you need more help than that. And just with where we've been and what we've wanted to do, we've sort of said, hey, go over here or seek out a counselor or a therapist. Well, we've gone out and we've sought after not a therapist, a coach, a marriage coach. Because we're not looking at this as therapy or counseling. We're looking at this as how can we coach you to a better marriage, wherever you may be. And so we went after a very good friend of ours who we've known for 7-8 years now, Karen, who is just a wonderful, wonderful woman who has her MA and her MFT. And so we started talking to Karen about becoming our lead marriage coach. And we are still in discussions with her, but it's all looking really good. Like she's going to come on board. And what does this mean? Is that means that we're going to be able to offer you guys group coaching. We're hoping to come up with a curriculum, a full curriculum that you can do at home
Well, we're not hoping. She's currently working on it.
She's currently working on that. Group coaching, which will start here in San Diego, and then our goal is to move beyond that, which would be via telephone or Skype, and then one-on-one coaching for you and or your spouse, where you're able to sit down and speak with Karen. Again, here in San Diego, or if you're outside of the area, we'll work that out for you guys as well.
Well, this is something we're really excited about. Like Tony said, we're almost 3 years on the air, and it's time to take better care of you guys. It's time to up our game and make sure that we are taking care of you and reaching out and realizing what your needs are from this show and making sure that we're meeting those needs. So that is very exciting, but it also plays into the fact that we're looking to add on to the show. We've been doing this podcast, like I said, 2.5 years now, and we love the show. This is our therapy time. We tell you guys all the time to decide, a certain amount of time each week to talk to your spouse. That's what this time is. This is our clear the air. This is our what's going on. This is our, we have an argument time. You guys know what we're talking about. You've heard it for the last, 130 some episodes. But we also are looking to the future saying, where do we go? What's the next step? And don't worry, all those of you that are panicking going, oh my gosh, they're getting rid of the podcast. We're not getting rid of the podcast. It's sticking around because I'm not giving up my therapy sessions. I don't think Tony wants to start paying for therapy. So this is about as good as it gets for us. But that's not to say that we don't want to do more and we don't want to reach more folks. And so what we're formatting now, what we're starting to put together is an actual call-in talk show where we're going to be fielding phone calls and bringing in interviews and having different discussions on issues that pertain to intimacy and marriage. A lot of the same topics that we've talked about, but in a completely different format, because we know sometimes you guys want to actually talk to us. And we haven't, with the podcast, we haven't been able, and we haven't done that format here because we've been so comfortable. It started out just the two of us talking. And that was our format. I mean, I still tell people, I'm like, I don't know who wanted to listen to, when Tony first mentioned podcasting, I'm like, who's going to listen to us? Well, apparently quite a few hundreds of thousands of you around the world. So, okay, I was wrong. Thankfully so. But we're figuring out what a radio show is going to look like. And Tony's been doing a lot of this. We've been talking to some of our friends who have been in radio, and we're very excited about that. We're starting to look for advertisers. So again, if those, if you know folks that might be interested in advertising with us, obviously you all know who our audience is. Kind of that married couple in the 25 to 45 is sort of our prime demographic. But we obviously have listeners on either side of that spectrum. We have singles, we have engaged. But you or someone that might be interested in advertising. As we start to develop this show, we'd love to have that connection, just so we can have a conversation. That's where we're at right now, is kind of putting the format together, figuring out the time, and that's exciting. It's exciting because it will give us the opportunity to interact with you, our listeners, on a real-time basis. It won't always have to be email. It won't always have to be you leave us a voicemail. You can actually call in during the show and talk to us live. And for some of you, I hope that have been so active on all of our pages, I hope that you will, because I'd love to hear the voice behind the person. We definitely get a flair for who you are through your Facebook posts and, emails to us. But this is exciting for us to be able to connect to you more one-on-one, more real time. And Tony's really taken the lead on making this happen, researching what our internet radio options are, figuring out what that's going to look like. And together we're working on securing the advertisers for the show, because obviously it costs money to be on the radio. That's why you hear the commercials all the time. So,
and this just opens up a whole new avenue for us. It just gets us into another audience and allows for us to change it up a little bit. Alisa and I love the format of the One Extraordinary Marriage show. I mean, we do. It's fun. It's us. With this live talk show, it's going to be different. We're going to be able to bring folks on and interview them. We're going to be able to hear from you. So pray for that. Again, the big thing with that, and Alisa said it, is we were looking at terrestrial radio and realized that so many of you...
Okay, stop.
Terrestrial radio is just on your radio dial.
Okay,
and we realized that, you know what, so many of you are all over the world, that we want to be able to reach you. And so that's why we're looking at internet radio. And the stations... Oops, Alisa's coughing, choking on her water there. All right, you okay?
Excuse me? Yes.
All right. And the big thing is, you know, these radio stations aren't just Alisa and I speaking to each other here. It's actually going to go run through a studio, and we actually have a producer. So we have a lot that goes on with it. And the big thing is, again, we want to reach more people. So that's, please pray for this one. This is a big step of faith for us. Really, I mean, this is one of those areas where I'm going back and forth, where I feel the devil's just going, no, if you do it, you're going to fail. You're going to spend all this money. Nobody's going to advertise with you guys. And it's a struggle for me. I mean, there are days when I'm just like, yeah, we're going to do this. And the next day I'm just like, I don't know. We haven't signed the contract yet. So we're still right there. So please, please, please pray for us on that. Number 3.
Is that 3 or 4?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Whichever one we're on.
Yeah, you know, don't count with us. I mean, nobody ever said that you had to be able to count to talk about sex and intimacy. But, you know, we're also exploring more opportunities to speak in front of live audience, not just putting on our own events, but coming to you. We're in talks with one church here in San Diego. I'm exploring, and Tony is too, opportunities for us to speak one-on-one with either, you know, male or female groups. Be it your MOPS group. I even do coffee talks with a group of girlfriends to come out and just, you know, talk about some of these issues that, you know, women or men, depending on which one of us you're targeting, you know, we can get down and dirty about some of these topics that aren't being discussed.
And that's not to say that we're not going to take this online and do those types of things. We're just trying to figure that out. So that's going to be something that we're going to continuously work on, because it goes hand in hand with our own live events. And if we have the opportunity to speak to others, we want to be able to do that. The big thing on that, and something that I realized, is a lot of that comes from us and from folks that know folks. They can go, hey, contact so-and-so. They may be interested. One thing I've learned is that people aren't going to just call us and go, hey, come speak.
Right.
They're just not. We have to be actively engaging them. And it may take anywhere from, 5 to 12 contacts on our part before they go, hey, you know what? We do want to hear you guys here. And we want to pay you to come here, because that's sort of the key in everything that we're doing. To be able to move into this full time, we need to be able to get paid to do what we are doing. So that's going to be a big one. It's again, do you know?
Who do you know?
A marriage and family pastor that we can reach out to at your local church or a friend's church or whatever, that we can just say, hey, this is who we are, and we can start the relationship building process, because that's what it's about. Build a relationship, and when there's a need, we can come in and move on from there. What number we're on? I don't know. But
stop numbering them.
Yeah. All right. Is that you guys have spoken loud and clear. There are a number of issues that you want us to touch base and work on, and so we're actually coming out with and developing our first product, which coincidentally is going to be on communication, and this is going to be a video-based.
It's not coincidentally.
Well, it
goes hand in hand with what.
Well, we were working on the live event, and then we're like, oh, you know what? If we're going to do this, let's make sure we're doing it on communication, because it just coincidentally goes hand in hand. And so these are going to be video-based programs that we're going to walk you through step by step. I'm having issues with my communication, and we're going to help you step by step be able to come up with a communication style that works for the two of you. You know what I mean? It's awesome to listen to Alisa and Tony on the podcast, but if you're like me, you need a system in place so you can go, okay, we did that. Check off video 1, 2, 3, 4. Mm-hmm. We've done that. Now let's go on to the next step in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it might be. So we're working on those, and we just want you to know that those are going to be coming out here as we work on it. Again, we're both working our other stuff full time as well, and as we develop, we're going to just keep putting it out there.
And as we go through all of this, it's really interesting because I can see where our own communication skills, how we've developed that over the years, are allowing us to make these leaps of faith. Well, I don't even want to call them leaps of faith. It's just stepping out in faith.
It's walking on water.
Because, we're able to sit down and say, it's kind of that dynamic too of working with your husband or your wife, which is another aspect that we're getting into as well as coaching entrepreneurial couples, whether it's one or both of you, because there's a lot of dynamics that happen in there. And so we've been doing this entrepreneurial couple thing for
9 years.
9 years. And we have experienced a lot of ups and downs with that. We've gone through a lot of patches where we've had to navigate those waters. And because we're both in, a lot of entrepreneurial circles, we hear from couples that are like, oh, this is an issue, or that's an issue, or, I can't get him to do this, I can't get her to do this, or we're struggling with this. And so in addition to the marriage coaching that we're doing for individuals, we're also getting into entrepreneurial marriage coaching.
Business coaching,
helping couples work through and develop their business and their marriage at the same time. Because
the two are not separate as much as we'd like to think they are.
Oh no.
They cross paths so much. And if the marriage isn't going well, I'll tell you, your business isn't doing well. I've been there many a times in the past, and just building the business and there are rough patches going on. It is sometimes very hard to stay focused. Mm-hmm. And so we want to work on that as well. So, what can we say? We got a lot on our plate,
but we're in a good place for it.
Right. And we want to thank you guys for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of you and, just loving on us that has brought us to this point where, One Extraordinary Marriage needs to grow. We need to impact millions and millions of people across this country and across this world. That's the goal. That's the plan, to have such an impact that we as a community, as a group, we can look back on our lives and go, we have left a legacy.
Well, and it's exciting because we did get our first email from, you talk about touching the world. We got our first email from Nigeria this week, and it was from a woman in Nigeria, and she says she's not married, but she's in a relationship leading to marriage. And here's what she says. I think what you guys are doing is absolutely amazing. I'm getting great ideas of what I want in my marriage, what type of person I want to be to my husband, kids, and everyone in general. And then we had a little bit of conversation with her, and she
also said, keep up the good work.
Keep up the good. Well, I was going to read
okay.
Just a little bit of conversation with her on, how'd you hear about us? You're in Nigeria, how did that happen? How did we get there? And she said, I was browsing online for any help on Christian relationships and marriage, and I came across your podcast. It was super amazing because it was raw, real, and Christian. And Christian was in capital letters. I wanted something that was real and not sugar-coated or overly spiritual. So since then, I got hooked. Thank you so much. God bless your ministry. We're in Nigeria. I'm awesome. Super excited. It's like every week now, it seems like we're hearing from somebody in a different country. And, if you are listening to us, I've got to figure out the whole map thing, because I'm so amazed at where our arms are spreading in terms of, giving this world a great big hug. And so Nigeria,
Yep.
I was excited.
Here's another one from Jerry. And he goes, it appears that God has multiple reasons for our recent move to a new state. Besides working on restoring a family relationship, the church we started attending here is hosting the Dave Ramsey Financial Peace class /series through the fall time. And here's something. Jerry was responding to an email that we send out on our newsletter. Mm-hmm. And if you're not on our newsletter, folks, please get on it. oneextraordinarymarriage.com/newsletter. Get on that, because that's the way we're going to really be communicating directly with you. Get those emails, because they're there to help you in your marriage. So Jerry's on that, and he was responding to one of our emails, which is, can a financial guru save your sex life? And so this is where I'm going to pick it up. Since we are over $20,000 in debt and my work contract goes at least to the beginning of the year, last week we decided to sign up for the course, which is awesome, Jerry. Good for you guys. I mean, we've been talking about that for 2.5 years, since episode 4. Awesome. I love it, dude. Ed has been strongly encouraged by multiple sources recently, all Christ-centered. So there is no doubt that we need to take the course. Right on, bro. Again, strange how God can make all the logistics work out for things like this. May God continue to bless you. Man, thank you. And may he bless you and your wife through this time. And if it's the new course, which is awesome, it's 8 weeks long instead of 13. So just start cranking at it. It's $20,000 in debt, dude. You guys can get out of that quickly. Make a plan, have a plan, do it. And I'm telling you, when you guys connect financially together, it's amazing how much stronger your marriage grows. You get this foundation. You get this trust between each other, and it impacts all other areas of your intimacy, emotionally, sexually, physically, spiritually. So, right on. Love it.
Oh, I thought you were going to read the next email.
No.
Sorry.
Oh, am I reading the next one?
Yeah, I thought you were.
Oh, yes. Okay. So this is from Philip. Tony and Alisa. I wanted to thank you for sharing something so personal yet so important last week on the podcast. That was episode 132. Mm-hmm. As soon as I heard Tony's voice, I knew it was going to be something huge. Tony, while I never had the exact same experience as you did, I too would have readily accepted such a solution as a young adult. I'm about your age, and it sounds like we had similar backgrounds. I had done things that by my standards today were reckless, insensitive, and beyond selfish. Hey, man, that was me to the T. Mm-hmm. Very well said, man. That was me. Like you, I didn't mature as a person or grow in my relationship with Christ and my respect for life until I got older. You made me realize I am blessed for never having to face myself and the young, immature me the way you have. But by your selfless, sorry, folks. But by you selflessly doing this and so openly sharing with Alisa and your loving audience, we are all better people. We are now all closer in our relationship with Christ and reinforcing our respect for life. I appreciate all you do on the podcast, and I have enjoyed listening. Be well, God bless, and the kids. Thanks, man. Thank you. That was a tough one, folks. And if you didn't listen to that episode 132, go on back. I share a big piece of my life that up until that point, I had only told about a handful of people. So that was big. Yeah.
I mean, it's been, receiving those messages, receiving the one from the gal in Nigeria, when we start hearing, we hear it a lot. You guys tell us all the time. New listeners tell us, you're raw, you're real, you're not sugar-coated. You're willing to put yourself out there on the line. I mean, I've had girlfriends here in San Diego who, every once in a while they'll pop in. For some of them, it hits too close to home because it's like we have to see each other, drop off type of thing. But I'm constantly being told, wow, I can't believe you guys would share that. And, whether you're a first-time listener or you've been listening for the last 2.5 years, you guys know that there's not a lot that we hold back from you guys. It may take us a little while to work up the courage to tell you, and it's not because we're afraid of you, it's because that's our own head, or collective head. Because sometimes, it's like, even if you're talking with something with your spouse, sometimes you can't just jump right into it. You're like, "Woo, I got to get that off my chest," and boom, go. No, because you are worried about the repercussions. You're worried. You start playing all those crazy negative soundtracks in your mind where you're like, "Oh, he's going to say this or she's going to say that, and then it's going to, the crap's going to hit the fan." And you put all this stuff in, and really, if you had just said, "Here's what's going on," you're met with love, you're met with understanding, and it hasn't been blown out of proportion. I'm trying to teach my 6-year-old this. I'm trying to teach my 9-year-old this. We deal with it in our marriages. We deal with it in all our relationships. And it's very encouraging to get the messages that we've received over the last week, just saying, you know what, you guys are tracking with us. Mm-hmm. You appreciate who we are. You understand who we are, and that we're not... we're never going to pretend to be somebody we're not. We're not going to pretend to be, somebody with a PhD in psychology or an MFT, giving you all the kinds of therapy. We are Tony and Alisa. Real couple, real marriage, and for us, real solutions. And that's who we want to be in your lives. And we are so appreciative of how you are spreading the word. And how, through your comments on iTunes, when you guys leave those 5-star ratings, and it helps us get up. I mean, Tony was just telling me before we got on the air tonight that we are now, number 5 in marriage?
Yeah, if you were to type marriage, we're number 5. And we have a review we're going to read from there, too.
Okay.
So let me do that one, too.
Yeah.
Like Alisa said, please, if you haven't already go over there and rate One Extraordinary Marriage. And also leave a review. I don't know the algorithm in iTunes, what have you. I do know, though, as we get more reviews and more ratings, we go up higher, and that way more people can find us and get impacted, so that they can start learning and to start tracking and start figuring out, okay, where am I in my marriage? Where am I struggling? Where are we doing good? And then that way they can grow as well. So this comes from Denver 38 Racing Team. I've been listening for about a year now and love it more and more with every new podcast. I listen to you guys more than Pandora, my iTunes, the radio. Amen, brother. Wow. I'll even pop it on while making dinner for my lovely wife. Even better, bro. Or working in my garage. Hey, that's really cool. I love how open you are and how you tell it like it is. Keep up the excellent work. P.S. I got my wife hooked on it now, too. That's rad. Thank you, Denver 38 Racing Team. So... it's as easy as that, folks. Go on in there, rate it, review it, and this helps other people go, hey, is this worthwhile? Is this worth something to listen to? And I think we got one more. Yes? Off the Facebook?
Yes.
Oh, Lisa's looking at me.
Sorry. We've had so much this week that, hold on, let me just get back there. Yeah. I was there and then I got off. And then I was worried about my battery running out because my computer gave me the... Hey, look at me. There it is. Where are we? Okay, so this is from a gal who's been listening to us for a while, and here's what she had to say. I just want to tell you what a blessing you've been to my husband and I. We have always had a great marriage. 22 years and 4 adult kids later, we were dealing with the midlife slump, boredom setting in, trying to figure out who we were as a couple. I started listening to your podcast, reading your page, and found myself gaining some ideas and hope. And I have to tell you, hope is... if you can share hope to folks, that's huge. Because there is so much going on in this world that steals our hope, that when you guys share, what we're talking about on Facebook, when you share a podcast episode that just touched you or made you, when you're listening to, you're like, oh, I know who needs to listen to this, and you share it. You are spreading hope, and that is such an easy way for you to spread the message. She goes on to say, I began praying for opportunities to turn the slump around. I did some purchasing of things to spice things up, and I began a personal journey, taking responsibility, to get healthy because my husband deserves that from me. I've lost 45 pounds, by the way. You go, girl. Mm-hmm. Way to take responsibility for who you are, your health, and how you want to present yourself in your marriage. And she goes on to say, I have to tell you that without even trying, in quotes, we accomplished the 7-day challenge plus some. Rocking it. We didn't intend for that to happen, but once we found that true intimacy again, we just didn't want to stop.
Awesome.
And it goes back to the fact that we've been saying since probably the first episode, those of you that have recently listened to all 130 of them can clue me in. But basically, when you make intimacy a priority in your marriage, everything starts to change for the better. When the two of you are both working towards making intimacy a priority, when you've got your priorities in order, God, your spouse, the kids, everything else, then you start to see how you're better equipped to handle the challenges that life throws at you. You get to see how the little things don't bug you so much because you know if somebody overlooked taking out the garbage cans, or somebody forgot to bring in the milk, or dinner was pizza instead of a home cooked meal, you just take it in stride because if there's something going on, you can talk about it. So thank you to this listener for just reminding us how putting intimacy first really does make a difference.
Mm-hmm. All right, you guys, we want to hear from you. So leave your comments. Let us know what you think about our plans. They're big. They're audacious. But with you in our corner and with Jesus as our Lord and Savior, all things are possible. Right? Philippians 4:13. Can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I pray, and we pray, that you are strengthened this week. Take care. We love you guys.